Nirvana.
Nirvana literally means blown out, as in a candle. It is most commonly associated with Buddhism. In Indian religions, the attainment of nirvana is moksha, liberation from the cycle of rebirth. In the Buddhist context, nirvana refers to the imperturbable stillness of mind after the fires of desire, aversion, and delusion have been finally extinguished. In Hindu philosophy, it is the union with the divine ground of existence Brahman, Supreme Being, and the experience of blissful egolessness.
Etymology. Phonetics.
Nirvana is composed of three phones ni and va and na. Ni, na, nis, nim, out, away from, without, a term that is used to negate, va, blowing as in blowing of the wind and also as smelling, na, nor, never, do not, did not, should not. Vana is forest in of the forest forests. Composed of flowers and other items of the forest, but Van has both phones van and va. Van has both an auspicious and ominous aspect. Van, like, love. Wish, desire. Gain, procure. Conquer, win. Possess. Prepare, van, tree. Forest. Thicket, cluster, group. Quantity. Wood, va, blow, of wind. Emit, an odor, be wafted or diffused, va, weave.
Abhidharma.
The Abhidharma Mahavipasa Sastra, Azarvastivada in commentary, 3rd century BCE and later, describes the possible etymological interpretations of the word nirvana. Each of the 5 aggregates is called a skandha, which means tree trunk. All 5 skandha serve to inform the study of experience, or else missing their causal relations leads away from the path to nirvana. Skandha also means heap, or pile, or mass, which is the nature of their interdependence, like an endless knot's path, or a forest.
Origins.
Nirvana is a term used in Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Sikhism. It leads to moksha, liberation from samsara, or release from a state of suffering, after an often lengthy period of bhavana or sojourner. The idea of moksha is connected to the Vedic culture, which had notion of amrtam, immortality, and also a notion of a timeless, an unborn, the still point of the turning world of time. It was also its timeless structure, the whole underlying the spokes of the invariable but incessant wheel of time. The hope for life after death started with notions of going to the worlds of the fathers or ancestors and or the world of the gods or heaven. The continuation of life after death came to be seen as dependent on sacrificial action, karma. These ideas further developed into the notion of insight into the real nature of the timeless Brahman and the Paramatman. This basic scheme underlies Hinduism, Jainism and Buddhism, where the ultimate aim is the timeless state of moksha, or, as the Buddhists first seem to have called it, nirvana. Although the term occurs in the literatures of a number of ancient Indian traditions, the concept is most commonly associated with Buddhism. It was later adopted in the Bhagavad Gita of the Mahabharata.
Jainism.
The terms moksha and nirvana are often used interchangeably in the Jain texts. In Jainism, moksha, liberation, follows nirvana. Nirvana means final release from the karmic bondage. An arhat becomes a siddha, one who is accomplished after nirvana. When an enlightened human, such as an arahant or a tirthankara, extinguishes his remaining agata karmas and thus ends his worldly existence, it is called nirvana. Jains celebrate Diwali as the day of nirvana of Mahavira. Uttaradhyana Sutra provides an account of Gautama explaining the meaning of nirvana to Kesi, a disciple of Parshva.
Buddhism.
In the Buddhist tradition, nirvana is described as the extinguishing of the fires that cause suffering. These fires are typically identified as the fires of attachment, raga, aversion, dvesha, and ignorance, moha or avidya. When the fires are extinguished, suffering, dukkha, comes to an end. The cessation of suffering is described as complete peace. Bhikkhu body states.
Hinduism.
According to Jaina and many commentators, Nirvana is a Buddhist term rather than a Hindu term. The term Nirvana was not used in Hinduism prior to its use in the Bhagavad Gita, though according to Van Buitenen the use of the term was not confined to Buddhism at the time the Bhagavad Gita was written. According to Johnson, the use of the term Nirvana is borrowed from the Buddhists to link the Buddhist state of liberation with Brahman, the supreme or absolute principle of the Upanishads and the Vedic tradition.
Moksha.
In Hinduism, moksha is the liberation from the cycle of birth and death and one's worldly conception of self. According to Heinsohn and Kahner, when a person achieves moksha, they have reached nirvana. While according to Flood, the attainment of nirvana is thus moksha. Moksha is derived from the root mu, n, c, Sanskrit, muk, which means free, let go, release, liberate. In Vedas and early Upanishads, the word musyate, Sanskrit, musite, appears, which means to be set free or release, such as of a horse from its harness. According to Aurobindo, the last bondage is the passion for liberation itself, which must be renounced before the soul can be perfectly free, and the last knowledge is the realization that there is none bound, none desirous of freedom, but the soul is forever and perfectly free, that bondage is an illusion and the liberation from bondage is an illusion too.
Brahma Nirvana in the Bhagavad Gita.
Brahma Nirvana, Nirvana in Brahman, is the state of release or liberation. The union with the divine ground of existence, Brahman, and the experience of blissful egolessness. The term Brahma Nirvana is used 5 times in the Bhagavad Gita. Verse 2.72 Sthit Vasu Mantakalapi Brahma Nirvanam Chati, 5.24, and following 2 verses, Zayogi Brahma Nirvanam Brahmabhatadhagakati, 6.15 Santim Nirvanaparamam Matsamsthamadhagakati. According to Helena Blavatsky, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that Brahma Nirvana can be attained by one who is capable of cognizing the essence of Brahman. By getting rid of vices, becoming free from duality, free from the worldly attractions and anger, dedicated to spiritual pursuits, having subdued thoughts and cognized Atman, and dedicating oneself to the good of all. According to Mahatma Gandhi, the Hindu and Buddhist understanding of nirvana are different. According to Gavin Flood,
Brahma Kumaris.
In Brahma Kumari's philosophy, nirvana is reaching the meta world called Paramdam, supreme abode, or Shantidam, abode of peace, and is the highest of the 3 worlds. It is the original home of the soul and supreme soul, Shiva,